Right, I'm back. While while I was having a brew, I ratched out the seal kit that I got. But it's not just seal; it's new bushes and everything. So I thought I would show what comes with the kit. So you get these bushes that are dark on the outside. They're the ones that go on the slider. Oh, sorry, on the stanchion. They're the ones that sit at the bottom. Then the ones that are shiny, they're also narrower. As you can see there, no you can't, yes, as you can see there, they're narrower. But if you look on the inside, they're dark. And that's because that's the one that goes in the top of the fork leg, the fork slider bottom, and the fork actually slides in and out of that. Whereas that one that's on the bottom of the stanchion, that if that's your slider top there, that one actually moves up and down inside. So that's the bushing material on the outer edge. The whole thing's the bush, but that's the wear surface, and the inside of that one is the wear surface. So that's your bushes that you get. Now with this kit that I bought, you also get, on a lot of standard Harleys, you just have I've got this big chrome dust cover that goes on, but that's standard for the Deuce front end. But on a lot of them you just have the black cover. So the standard rebuild kit just comes with the black cover. But that I was on about the dust cover. Sometimes you have to keep them because you don't get new dust covers with every kit. This kit's got the new dust covers, which is quite handy. So I can put new dust covers in. Also, new fork seals. Now you've got to be careful with your fork seals as to which way up they are. You've got to make sure you get them the right way up so they do the job they're meant to do. You've got springs in both ends. Like the springs, what they do is they compress the rubber so it sits nicely against the tube, and you've got them in both sides. But one side's specifically designed to, as the fork comes up, it's designed to wipe shit off the fork, like dust. The other side is as it's pushing down, like as the fork's going down, the other side, as the fork goes through it. Right, I'll start there again. If you imagine your seal, I'll just put these other two bits back on here. The seal is in the top of the slider, the top of the slider, and it's a fixed thing in there, it doesn't move. Your fork, which goes in, your stanchion, which goes inside your fork, obviously moves up and down inside the slider. The slider actually moves up and down on the stanchion, but you know what I mean. So, you've got your seal. So as your fork goes down, like if you brake for instance, your fork goes down, one side of the seal wipes shit off the fork, like dust and stuff that gathers on the fork. The other side, as the fork comes back up, the other side's designed to wipe the oil back off the fork, so that it doesn't, obviously you don't have oil coming up through. So you've got to make sure that you get your fork seal on the right way around. And it's easy to do. I mean, I know which way around these are meant to go anyways, so for me it's not an issue. I've done fucking loads and loads of oil seals on forks, and not just Harleys, Jap bikes, Triumphs, fucking all sorts over the years. But before you take your oil seal off, just check which way it is. You'll see that your replacement seal is identical. Now one's quite deep inside in there, and the other one's shallow. So you just look and think, alright, that's, I see, that matches up with that side. It's easy to do, just make sure you get them on the right way around, otherwise they won't work properly. Right, so also what comes with the kit, I was saying about the washer on the bottom of there. Well, this kit also comes with these new O-rings, which are off the internals of the fork. Like the big O-rings, they go on the bit that screws into the top. I know you can't see where I've just pointed, but you'll see when I start stripping the forks. These ones are off part of the damper, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But you've then got new clips, the new circlips that we took out of the, which is up here, this bit here. So I'll just stick these over here, put them somewhere safe so I don't lose them. You get new big washers. That's these bits here. Then what goes right in the top of the fork, if you remember, I had to take them out of the old yokes to put in the top, is a black washer, rubber washer, seal, whatever, but it goes in, like when you've pushed your fork up into the top yoke and you're putting your top nut in, that's what goes in, and then your nut goes in. So you get a pair of them. So there's two of them obviously. And then you get these. Now these here, they're like nylon bushes that go on the top of the damper. So obviously there's two on each, apart from on the older models, which is only one I think. But yeah, they go on the top of this damper bit here. So this kit's quite a comprehensive seal kit. It's obviously seals, bushes, dust covers, clips, the lot. So it's quite a good kit. I also remembered what else I'd bought. Fork oil. Now this fork oil I bought here, Screaming Eagle, heavy. It's the same fork oil I used when I rebuilt my Electroglide forks. And it made a big difference to the front end of that. So I've got two of them. Right, so I'll just knock it off for a second. I'll get all this stuff, all this fork seal kit put back in its fit. Drag Specialities. Now, I had a comment on it was the isolation bushes on the Electroglide. I used Drag Speciality isolation bushes on the Electroglide. I've used Drag Speciality stuff for years. It's not all I use. I'll use OEM stuff, I'll use other brands, but Drag Specialities I have used a lot of. Now, the comment was basically saying that the Drag Speciality stuff's shit, they use shit rubber. I've never ever have I had an issue with anything from Drag Specialities. Now, this isn't a plug. I'm not affiliated with Drag Specialities. As I say, I buy all sorts of different makes of stuff. Brands, I mean. But yeah, don't be put off by that comment. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I'm not going to argue the point. He might have had a bad experience with Drag Specialities stuff. Fair play. I never have. Personally, I've never had an issue with anything from Drag Specialities. So But what I was pointing out is it's a Drag Specialities fork rebuild kit that I bought, and all that gear I've just shown you is what came in this box. And I have used them before. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I used a Drag Specialities kit when I rebuilt my Electroglide as well. The front end, that is. So yeah, that's what I used, that's what comes in the kit. So I just thought I'd point that out. And as I say, each to their own. If I'm using something and you don't like it personally, because you've maybe had a bad experience with it, or you just think it's cheap shit. No, they're not. It's not cheap shit. It's half decent stuff. But as I say, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I'm just pointing out what I use. Fucking losing half of it. Yeah, I'm just pointing out what I use, and I've always been happy with what I've used. As I say, I've never had a problem with the Drag Specialities stuff. But one thing I will say is, if you don't like something that I use, then basically don't use it. It's your choice. But don't come on and just start slagging a product off just because you don't like it. Because I'll be truthful with you, I use what I use. If somebody doesn't like it, I personally couldn't give two fucks. That's their decision. Right, that's everything back in its bag, and shove that in there, seal this box back up. Yeah, as I say, that's the kit I bought. I've used them before, never had an issue with them. I'm happy with them, so I'm going to use them. If somebody else doesn't like them, fine. That's their choice. I'll never tell them they've got to use it. I won't tell anybody they have to use anything. They use what they want to use. I'll use what I want to use. And as I say, if anyone's not happy with the stuff I'm using, keep the comments to themselves, because I couldn't give two fucks. I mean, I say keep your comments to yourselves. If you want to post and say, oh, I don't like that stuff, I use this personal preference, fine. But as I say, you won't sort of get a massive reply off me, apart from saying I've used it and I've never had any issues with it. But you won't really get anything off me, because I don't care. I use what I use. Enough said. Right, next step. I'm going to drop this fork down. I can let this go now. They can just hang down there for now. But I'm going to drop the fork. I'm just going to tilt you back up a touch so you can see the top of these. First, I'll just quickly find the right size. Well, that was handy. Right, so basically this is already loose. On your bike, if you're just doing it from scratch, that won't be loose, you'll have to loosen it. So I'm just going to screw the top fork bolt out, nut, bolt, whatever you want to fucking call it. It's actually a bolt. Right, as you saw there, because this yoke's loose, the fork's just coming down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it to about there, and I'm going to just tighten this clamp up. Now, I haven't put any massive pressure on it. I've just enough to nip the fork, because I'm going to undo this top, the fork top basically. Now all I'll be doing is I'll loosen it. Once I've got it cracked, as in, because it'll be tight obviously, once I've cracked it, I'll maybe turn it a turn, then I'll undo this and I'll lift the fork out, and then we'll undo the top. Put a rag over the top, because as it won't be mega bad, but as it sort of comes off its last thread, it'll spring a bit. It might not on this one, because I haven't got a clue what's inside there. So, I need a spanner. I think that one's too small. Right, I'll just get the right size spanner. Can't remember what size these are off the top of my head. Oh, that's handy, first one. So, it is a 13/16 spanner. Now, as you can see, the yokes are leaned over that way, because that's the way we loosen the nut, the ball, whatever. So, is that turning? Yeah, I need to nip this up a bit more. Get in there. Right, as you see there, it was tight, but now, says he, but now it's loose. That's it. Don't go any further yet. We'll undo this, we'll slide the fork out, and I think I'll just put it in a tray. So I might as well ratch one of them out before I do all else. Right, I'm just going to sit it in that tray. Well, you can't see it, but I've just put a little tray under there just to sit the end in, and then we'll unscrew this top. Right, so I can still see that. I might have to use the spanner for this. I'm going to take this out so far, and then I'll get a rag on it. They usually come out a bit further than that before they go. But, because there was no pressure on fork, luckily, it I've got two new ones of these. I'm going to do a fucking measure up, because that looks as if that's been fucking modified. Right, anyways, As you can see, that popped off. It was under no real pressure, so it only just popped off. If you saw, can't hide it. Normally they screw out a bit more, and I think that's been fucking shortened. So anyways, lift your spring out. Might be a little drip of oil on it. Whee! Right, so I might just lay that on there if it'll stay. Yep. Right, and also, what I should be able to do now, if I turn that over, as you heard, the damper has just dropped out the other end. I'm just having a nosy down the fork. The good thing about the foil tray that I've put down is it reflects the light back up the fork leg, up the fork tube. Seems to be in good nick inside. Right, I'm running out of somewhere to put these fuckers. I'll just stand that up. What I'll do, I'll put the damper in there. I'll spring on this one. Right, I'm just going to move the foil tray to one side so that I can lean the fork leg. What you can also do is you can then lift all your bits and pieces off, which I can give a clean inside once you've got it off. It's actually in quite good nick, that, considering. Yeah, dust cover off, and the clip, which obviously I won't be reusing because I've got new ones, as you've seen. Fork seal, which I'll just chuck in this tray. Washer in the tray. Bushing. Which has got a bit of wear on it on one side, which I'll show you in a minute. And then obviously there's a bush left on the bottom of the fork. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave them leaning up there. Oh, find my rag. That can drip dry. So you've got your spring that sits in your damper. That's obviously your damper unit. Which I'm just having a peek up. So spring, and then on the bush kit, we're on about on the top of the damper, you get new seals, not seals, but well, they are a seal in a sense. It's what goes up inside the fork. On the newer ones, you've got one. On the older ones, on the model before this, on the fork, when they changed these, and I personally think they only fucking changed it to save money, but you have two on the newer ones, sorry, on the older style. And this is just personal preference. The newer dampers, I don't think they're as good as the older dampers. So, but yeah, That's your fork leg stripped basically. Apart from taking your... Obviously I'm putting new fork stanchions in, longer ones. So I'll just put this lot down here a second. Spring. That can go just down there. Give this lot a wipe. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold that upside down, because if I can see where I've put it, if you were just changing you were just doing a rebuild on your forks, just get that so it doesn't drip oil down my leg. Try and get this right. If you notice on there, there's a slit in the seal. So this is being awkward. I'm just going to turn that towards us. If you were just rebuilding your forks and you weren't obviously, as I say, I'm putting new stanchions in, longer ones, but if you were just rebuilding your forks to put new bushes and seals in, basically you just put a screwdriver in, twist the screwdriver in the slit, and it just comes off, and then you're left with your groove in your thing, and then you just basically push your new bushes on. Obviously you'd clean it all first. Right, I'm just going to put this fork leg back in here. I used to have an old Evo Softail Custom many moons ago, and I had it for quite a while, and it was just standard, apart from pipes and filter kit and that, and because it was carb, so it had S&S filter kit. Not that that's going to make a shite difference to what I'm going to tell you, but the forks in it were standard. And I then bought a newer Softail with the twin cam motor in it, and I think it was only, if I remember rightly, I think the Evo was quite an older, sorry, a later model Evo, and the twin cam one, I think it only ended up, I think the twin cam was 5 or 6 years newer than the Evo, but the handling was shit. Well, don't get us wrong, it wasn't shit, but it wasn't, I didn't think it was as good as the Evo. Anyways, I thought one day I'll just put the forks off my Evo onto the twin cam. But I had to strip them apart because the twin cam one had chrome sliders on it and chrome yokes. As in, the twin cam one had a fancy set of yokes on it that were chrome. They weren't standard yokes, but the bottoms were just like normal sort of silver. They weren't chromed. But on the Evo one, it had the chrome bottoms on it. No, on the twin cam one, it had the chrome sliders. On the Evo one, it didn't. So I stripped them apart, because they were both 41mm. Stripped them apart, and basically just put the whole internals of the Evo forks into the twin cam slider. Straight in. Perfect fit. the twin cam actually handled better after that. And the forks are the same. If, like when I do the week, after I'd measured up and I went in to look for fork stanchions, I knew that when you look at them, it goes, you've got to be careful not to go back too far, but the ones that go up to 97, from a set date up to 97, the fork legs are exactly the same. The stanchions, they're exactly the same as the newer after 97. There's also, so you can check this yourself, there's an Italian company that makes fork stanchions, sorry, and I cannot for the life of me remember what they're called. I'm sure it begins with a T. I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you look at the part number, for example, because they make they'll do fork stanchions, standard ones. They don't do the overlength ones. It's all they make is standard replacement fork stanchions. So if you look at, say, for example, a 96 Softail stanchion for the length you want, and then go and look at a newer Softail, like, say, I don't know, say for argument's sake, say 2001, the part number for the fork stanchions are exactly the same. So if you order a set for a 96 Softail, you're going to get the exact same pair as what you would for the 2001. Obviously, you've got to have the correct length. So, say for instance the length of the fork that's on your bike as standard is 22.5 inch, stanchion wise. You then look through and find out 41mm forks 22.5 inch long on their page. It'll give you the exact same part number. The forks are identical, so you can interchange fork stanchions and put them on the newer legs, but just double check your model, because I'm not 100% sure where the cut-off is, where it might change and not be the same. Well, actually, I think when they cut off, I think it's when they went to a different looking size fork. I think it's when they went to the bigger forks, so they wouldn't fit anyways. But yeah, anyways, cut a long story short, Evo forks into the twin cam sliders, onto the twin cam bike, and that bike handled better. I don't like twin cam dampers, so I think that there are. This again is me personally. I think it's a cost saving issue is why they were changed. So you can use the older ones in the newer bikes. Not the brand newer bikes obviously, because you've gone up to 49mm forks on the newer ones. So, right, I'm going to stop rabbiting on now. I'll knock you off for a minute, get myself sorted, and I'll come back.